And action.
How do cheap filmmakers get Hollywood on a budget? This is a $1 million question, and for the longest time, an unanswered one. The only way to get Hollywood was to hire grips and gaffers, have dollies, cranes, Steadicam operators, and this thing, which I found out is called a Super Pee-wee. But now we have this thing, a machine that can get 75% of what we're wanting, from tracking shots to static shots, a misunderstood piece of equipment that some filmmakers hate while others can't stop using it. So here's my quick thoughts on it. In situations where you need a reliable piece of gear right away, the gimbal is not your tool. It takes too long, you gotta balance it, get it stable. But in situations where you want to capture scenes with lots of coverage and smooth cinematic shots, there could not be a more efficient piece of camera gear. And in this video, I'm gonna be sharing all the practical setups that you can use with it. I'll be taking it out into the field and shooting this dramatic scene that I came up with on the spot with Matt and Jackie. Now, real quick, this video is part of my gimbal cinematography course on the Cinematic Academy. If you guys want to give that a gander, this is a lean, quick, and dirty course you guys can find available right now. And it's at a low price, so if you've ever wanted to enroll, you can check it out there. We're doing like a post bank robbery chase. We've got Jackie, our lead actor here, ready to crush it. You've been doing some research, right?
I know how to get into a bank. I know how to hold a gun, and I'm ready to really give it my all.
So we're going to compose this of a series of shots. Now I'm going to make it very gimbal based, but also show you the basics of some simple cinematography of how to shoot a scene. We're going to use different coverage like wide, mediums, and close-ups to tell the story and give you some valuable fun shots while also tactile ones that you should just have to replace your other gear. I think so much of this coverage that you guys can shoot for your videos does not need a bunch of crazy pieces of equipment. And I think when shooting on a low budget, no feet on the ground filmmaking is like the most important, meaning not having anything that like touches the ground, like stands, tripods, anything that you need a grip team for. So that's what we're practicing in this video. It's not the only way to shoot something, but it's one that I prefer. So we're gonna dive into that. So the first, I'm just gonna talk about movement, and I'll show you how movement works. I've got the active track off, or the active stabilization off. If I were to do just like a regular tracking shot, watch what I'm doing with my arms. I'm keeping them as level as possible. I kind of go more loose with my arms and more loose with my feet. Watch what happens to the shot. It kind of gets like a rocking and bobbing shot that makes it feel like there's a technical error. So what I try and do is try and keep my core engaged. I use a heel-toe walking movement. So I just kind of slowly move my heel-toe like that, and I try and keep the camera as level as possible. Warp stabilizer works really well when the shot is at a good level. So just try and maintain that part. And now we've got it pushed in closer to like a 40 mil, which is my favorite focal length for gimbal stuff. And watch what this shot looks like. I'm gonna push in, keep the heel-toe motion going. Jackie looks up like a badass. And then I'm gonna hold my final frame. So I knew that was about 6 seconds, but I'm holding on this. And it's gonna feel weird for the talent. It's gonna feel weird for you to hold on someone locking their eyes onto the camera. But what can end up happening is then it gives you a little cutaway point. You wanna give the end part of your footage just a little bit of stuff. This is it at a 70 mil, pushed right in. And I'm gonna try and do the same movement. And watch what happens to the background. Also watch how much bouncier it is. So you're really gonna recognize these moves a whole lot more. The bobbing up and down is probably way more pronounced. What I'm trying to do with this setup is, one, keep the cameras horizontal, so not bobbing up and down. I'm also trying to keep one smooth move. What can immediately give away a gimbal shot is when you're like kind of finding frames. So what I'll do is I'll create an invisible square in my frame and then just try and find a shot that I'm trying to keep in that spot. It's gonna keep the shot level, it's gonna keep the audience's eyes narrowed in, and just lock a certain focal length. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you what happens if I find a new frame while shooting. So this is me like keeping it symmetrical, and then watch what happens. I'm just gonna go like that. It feels weird. You can tell there was an operator. It doesn't feel creative. If you do gimbal stuff, people are probably gonna hire you either to do like action stuff, so sports coverage, or maybe you're in a film, you have to capture a tracking shot, a character moving, and go for it. This is gonna get like a parallax style shot. So I'm moving with her. keeping her just sort of in the same spot in the frame and using her as my motion point. Badass. Those sunglasses make her look like Morpheus. Awesome. Okay, and we'll do it again. But this time what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how it works dollying with her. So moving exactly with her motion. And I would say this acts as like a dolly style shot. I'm not trying to change my distance with her. I'm letting her do all the movement. But the next one I want to get with you guys is a tighter focal length with motion and show you how like an action scene would kind of be shot. So when you do longer lens stuff, the background moves faster and it's gonna make scenes look quicker. So anytime I'm shooting action scenes with Jackie, I'm zooming the camera right in, like long lens, and then that's gonna compress the frame and make it look like she's going faster than what she actually is. This time I'm gonna try something a little bit different. It's gonna look weird from far away, and go for it. You did great. Are you all right? Do you need a breather?
No, okay.
Okay. Now I'm just going to do a couple shots that are common in films. These are tracking shots. Basically, when you're framing anything, think about how it represents that in the film. So if I shoot this way, it sort of feels like she has no power to her and the camera's looking down on her. We're looking down on her. Even resembles that of like a GTA game. So instead, if we wanted to make her feel powerful and like she's better than everybody else, we put the camera a little lower. Boom, now if she walks, it looks like she's walking with confidence. And then if we want to be level with her, we want to be in her world, we'll kind of just be like this. And I'll film it and show you the different examples. So Jackie, we're just gonna do a straight walk down there and go for it. So keeping it level with Jackie behind her, we're in her world, we're going to approach this event with her. The next one, if we go low, looking up at her, look at how like confident she seems. She seems like she's gonna own the scene. And again, I'm keeping about 4 feet away from her, 5 feet away from her on a 40 mil with the stabilization. I could lead her a bit and kind of track beside her. It looks like she's like going to battle. She's ready to rock and roll. Here's the shot you're probably gonna be more common getting. I do the tracking shots a lot. They're really quick to grab on set and they take little to no time, especially when you're shooting up at a ceiling or something. Let's look at kind of the eye level tracking shot. If you're doing a Aaron Sorkin style movie where the characters are doing walk and talks, or perhaps your characters are just going from point A to point B, here's kind of the most simple way and classic way to do that. So I've got it at about the 40 mil. I'm gonna go eye level with her. So Jackie, stay at the same rate. That's perfect. Because you don't want them changing where they are in the frame unless there's something important. Like if she gets a little bit closer, it almost just feels like it should just cut to this versus doing that movement. One of the best modes about this setup that I have for the gimbal is the underslung mode. It's really nice. This is how they shot a lot of the Creator. Basically, it's more cinematic because you're not showing that average life perspective. This is the cowboy style shot. Very creative, artsy style shot. And if Jackie had a gun, a watch, or anything within this area, maybe even her phone, this would be a perfect spot to grab said phone from her butt pocket. Or we can do nice tracking ones. So I'm actually gonna get you to do a little bit of a walk here, Jackie. So if we wanted to cut into that other shot, I'd kind of find similar framing, but just up her feet. Maybe grab that shadow that we're getting, cool. So start the shot with this. Tilt up. So I'm gonna get the camera a little bit wider. I'm gonna show you my favorite mode on the camera. My favorite mode on the gimbal that most gimbals have now. And it's called FPV, or with the Zhuan series, it's the POV mode. It has been my favorite tool for so many different scenes. We shot our movie Sway when he's like getting disoriented with these shots, music videos Jackie and I shoot. It's a really artsy style. And what I would try and do is just go slow and smooth. So it gives that kind of disoriented vibe.
So the first thing to understand is you need to balance it correctly. And instead of doing a whole tutorial on the balancing of how to do a gimbal, I'm actually gonna plug my new course, part of the Cinematic Academy, and that is my Gimbal Cinematography Masterclass. I talk about how to balance a gimbal. I dive deeper into this entire video. This is just a 10-minute section out of a 20 to 30-minute video where we dive deeper into all the cinematography, like tripod shots, crane style shots, and how to stitch them together to tell a story by using movement as the visual language in a movie.
Park before the bag. Let's talk about the setup real quick. I've got the Sony FX3 and we've got it attached to all the systems that we had set up. But to just sort of show you why I've got it set up this way, it's really to optimize this as my movie screen. So I watch the film with the color grade through that. And this is kind of my technical screen. So I see what my ISO is, my shutter, and f-stop. Doing any shots with like a complex move, finding your final frame is just as important as finding the frame itself. So where is it gonna land? So if you're really just trying to figure out the cheat sheet of shots, start with the wide and then go into the closer coverage and then end on the wide. I'm just gonna start rolling, doing a heel toe, nice and smooth, and just really watching my vertical axes. There's no real optimal coverage at this point. Maybe I could go inside the vehicle, but I really like kind of getting this external flavor. So I'm going for story more than like super cinematic. Then babe, maybe your final position is just your head on the steering wheel. Yeah, like, oh. Or like you're just like sad or upset, like. Show me that again. So this next scene is Jackie doing a call with like her robbery partner. She's freaking out. So I'm gonna break the 180. So typically when you film any scene, whether it's like event footage or you're shooting just a commercial or narrative stuff, you always wanna play with the camera on one angle of the performance. Once you change that, it signifies something that's jarring, which either means that it's like important for the audience to like hold on to, or it was an error. So for me, I'm leaning into this. One, because I feel like I ran out of my coverage from this angle of the car, but two, she's getting a phone call from someone who she shouldn't be talking to right now. Even if you don't have like the right tool for the specific job, I would just be able to throw this on the ground and get a cool shot. And I think it's like, no, are these gonna get you the exact shot that you dreamed of every single time? No, but I think you'll be able to get like 70% of what you've dreamed of, and the rest can just be sort of creatively found on set.
What the fuck happened?
Oh my God, are you okay? Trying to get a different angle. Again, probably would have been really hard to get with a bigger rig. So I'm just tucking this into the corner here, trying to see if I could maybe get like a nice close-up of Jackie. When you're shooting on a wider focal length, so the wider we go, actually the more invasive this feels because it actually is. So sometimes people like to get the camera right near the actor. So I can actually just put it on the center console here. I'm gonna move it back slightly. And this feels good and it works within the 180 of that wide. So I'm gonna cut to this close-up when Jackie's really getting upset with the person.
The biggest thing I've learned from shooting with a gimbal is that it is a huge time saver. And using higher end gear is so desirable, yet it uses so much time up. And it's really destroyed my relationship with a film because of how long it takes to get the perfect shot. But overall, that's kind of the quick and dirty. Now it's time to show you guys the short film and my final thoughts on actual gimbal cinematography. Most movies are shot the same, the wide, medium, close-up, over the shoulder, singles, doubles. But what makes a director have their style, what I have found at least, is implementing camera movement. That's how you can navigate when something is important or rather just more mundane in your story. You can add emphasis like an exclamation point or italics into your scene. So if you want to learn how to do that, you can take a look at our course, the Gimbal Cinematography Masterclass that I've created on the Cinematic Academy. It is a more in-depth dive on gimbal cinematography, and it has been my go-to secret sauce for every film that I've made in the last 2 years, from feature films to short films. So if you want to learn how to up-level your narrative and documentary cinematography to have a bit of an edge that maybe other filmmakers don't have, I highly recommend leveraging and learning deeper into this tool, because I think as we see things come out like the 4D and other stabilized pieces of equipment, we're going to want to learn how to incorporate movement better. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.